Welcome to Asexualise, my asexual life, the place to be for education about asexuality. So, have you ever been at a crossroads in your life, or have you ever felt really down, like you're in a dark, deep hole and there's no way out? Maybe you're really suffering right now with your mental health, your physical health, and life is just really shite. And you don't know what the future holds. You're scared, you're bewildered, you're anxious, you're nervous. Well, I'm here to tell you something from my diary confessions book. This is life lesson 36. There are no limits in life, just the ones we create for ourselves. Because where there is a will, want, and need to change, anything is possible. The word impossible says I'm possible. Always remember that, and don't let anyone stop you from fulfilling your own life goals, ambitions, and dreams. You were and are destined for greatness. So go out and be that greatness right now that you were always destined to be. Your future self will thank you for it eternally. Life lesson 35. Without taking action, nothing happens. Nothing changes. Until the universe thrush change upon you, whether you like it or not, it's far better to make change happen for you rather than letting it happen to you. That way you can take control of your own life and direct it in the way that you want, which is a truth path to happiness, success, and a better quality of life overall. One filled with purpose and meaning. So, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Like, obviously, people do go through dark and difficult times. They go through health challenges, both mental and physical. And I know what it's like to feel in that dark, deep hole of despair. But I want to give you some encouragement today that your current circumstances, where you are now in your life, does not dictate your future. And the law of averages suggests that through the downs comes the up. Usually through our pains come our triumphs. Usually from our despair comes our most insightful moments. And maybe you just don't want to listen to this right now because you're in such a deep, dark hole. And I just want to give you some love right now if that's where you are. I just want you to know that you're loved and that you are beautiful in and of your own right. And that I know personally from experience that you can change your life around. That where you are now in your life is not necessarily where you're going to be in a year's time, 5 years' time from now, 10 years' time from now. But what it requires you to do is take some actions. Now, this may be that you just need to rest. Sometimes your body needs a rest. Like, I'm in the middle of a 3-day boot camp and, it's not finishing till nearly midnight, which is why I'm streaming late. And that's hard, and I'm getting up and doing other work first and stuff like that. But I feel very privileged to be in the position to be able to go to the boot camp, and I'm actually able to offer other people advice for free in the boot camp because of all the experience I've now got from the Blue Talks speaking community that I became a part of when I bought the programs last year. I'm a part of Experts Bureau as well. So yes, it's not easy to change your life, but last year I made a decision. I made a decision last February. I had some money and I could have just kept that money in a bank. And I decided to invest in myself and take that money and buy speaker programs with the Blue Talks company. This was not a light decision, but I knew it was the right one. The guy who runs the company, I've known him for years as a friend on Facebook, and I know he cares about the people who join his programs. He's not someone who you just join his programs, he doesn't care. There's a lot of aftercare, ongoing coaching and training, and he's the one running the boot camp, and I'm also part of his Blue Talks Experts Bureau. Now, this stuff isn't cheap, right? But sometimes we've got to prioritize or reprioritize our life in order to get what we want in our life. And so some people who are at the top of the money chain, billionaires, they can be very, very depressed, because depression is to do with how you feel inside and whether you feel happy and fulfilled or not. So a lot of people think success is a big house, a flashy car, tons of money in the bank. But even during this boot camp, there was someone who specialized in money mindset. And I said, like, what happens if you're not motivated by money? Because I'm not motivated by money first and foremost. I like money. I do a make money, make cash channel besides this channel. But my main motivation is not the money itself. Like, my main motivation for doing that channel is to help other people make a bit of money so that they can afford more things in their life, like a holiday or a bit of extra cash for something special, or to pay for more food, or to go on holiday. I don't know if I've already said that, did I? But it's to pay for things, like if you sell a lot of stuff online, obviously you make more money. But it's also to make people happy. Like, I sell stuff on Vinted and Facebook Marketplace to make people happy. So my motivation for money is to make people happy first and foremost, like to be helpful to people. And I interview people on that channel about how they make money doing what they love, so other people can do the same. So it's not about the money itself, it's about how do people make money doing what they actually love and adore. And I wanted to do this video because I wanted you to know that your whole life can change around. It doesn't necessarily change around overnight, but you can take parts of your life and change it. But everything requires action. And wherever you are in life right now, whether you've got a job, you haven't got a job, whether you're on benefits, you're not on benefits, where you've got disabilities, not on disabilities, where you've got special needs or anything like that, I want you to know you're still a very special person. You can still achieve greatness in this life. There's actually a modeling agency called Zebedee, and they employ people who are disabled. They're a modeling agency for disabled people, and they specifically get people in like Vogue magazine and stuff like this, Cosmopolitan, I think, as well, and get them in TV adverts and stuff like this. So whatever's going on in your life, I just want you to know that just because you're at a certain point in your life doesn't mean to say things can't change for the better, doesn't mean to say you can't accomplish things. Like, years ago when I was a manager, I was earning a lot of money back then, more money, and yeah, but I wasn't as happy as I am now. I did have better health sometimes back then, but I had depression. So my mental health wasn't good at all. But now my mental health is much better. It's just my physical health that I'm working on. And I want people to know that even with disabilities, like I got fibromyalgia, anxiety, things can still be achieved in life. You can still achieve greatness in your life. And the way you do that is by starting to look after you, by starting to ask yourself, like, what makes you happy? What's going to make you feel good today? What's going to make you feel relaxed? What's going to bring out positive emotions in you? What's going to make you feel good about you? Because only when we take some sort of action can we change our state of being. And then when we change our state of being, our physiology changes, which then changes our demeanor, our aura, and the way we feel about ourselves. But I want you to know that you matter in this world. I know Pride is a very difficult time for some people. Like, some people in Pride Month, they feel great because they come out as being their asexual self, or however you identify sexually, so lesbian, gays come out, all different types of people come out about their sexuality during Pride Month. And there's a lot of Pride events that go on, for example, in the UK, all over the UK. But then some people don't have that level of support. If they come out about being asexual or a different type of sexuality, they might feel punished, betrayed, hurt. And these are not nice emotions to go through. So while there's a fantastic side to Pride and all the celebrations and the happy times like there should be, there are also some people feeling left out and lonely, and just like their family or their friends and their relationships don't get it or understand it. So I want you to know that if you're feeling that now, I'm so sorry that's happening to you. And I want you to know there are people out there that care about you. There are people that want to listen to you. There are people that understand you. And even if you're in that circumstance now, you can still choose to think of solutions to your current dilemma so that you can get out of that situation more easily. So obviously, if you live at home with your parents, if you're at an age where you can leave home, you might want to consider that and moving in with a friend who's supportive, or just getting your own place if you've got your own income. Another thing might be that you just don't care about what they think and you just talk about your sexuality anyway. Another thing might be you just ignore as much as possible the way they are, but your environment does affect you. So in order to change your life, you need to change your mindset at times, your environment at times. You need to be changing what you're thinking and what you're feeling. But sometimes it's hard to get out of that. So we can only take baby steps. Sometimes just getting up and getting dressed is an achievement that day. Sometimes just getting up without getting dressed is an achievement rather than staying in bed. Sometimes getting up, getting dressed, but first having a shower is an achievement. So I want you to think of what things you can do to get yourself out of the state you're in if you're in a down state. Just little incremental baby steps to make improvements to your life. Because if you try and do too much too soon when you're in that mindset, then it's just going to become like an uphill struggle or battle. So I want you to just think about like the next step you can do. So in Frozen 2, if you've seen the movie Frozen 2, one of the characters is saying, and I just need to think of the next step. What's the next right step? Just take the next right step. And sometimes that's what we need to do to get ourselves out of a funk, out of a difficult situation. So we just need to be thinking, what is the next right step? What is the next right thing I can do? Sometimes your body is so worn out, you're so emotionally drained and stressed that you just need a week off just to chill and not do much to do with the mind. Watch some funny movies, watch some movies that are uplifting, listen to uplifting music, because what we put in our mind does affect our emotions. So we do need to be putting in there things that are going to light us up. We need to be putting positive music in there, positive movies, positive talk. We need to stop watching the news. We need to stop thinking and being in negativity. And we need to change our life. And the way we do that is by putting positivity into it. So every morning now, I'm listening to affirmations by Bob Baker, positive affirmations. And every night I go to sleep. And I make this a practice now, because when we have practices and habits that we get into for ourselves, we are giving ourselves a duty of care towards ourselves. By giving ourselves a duty of care towards ourselves, We are loving ourselves. We are building trust with ourselves. We are building resilience to the rest of the world by forming a really strong bond with ourselves, keeping our promises to ourselves. The affirmations, I can tell you, are making a difference. They're making a huge difference to how I feel, how I think, and also what's going on in my life. It does open up more opportunities when I'm thinking positively. I'm back actively selling on Facebook Marketplace now. Within 7 days, one of the products I listed was sold within basically 24 hours. Or 24 hours, I got someone who was interested in buying it. And then within hours after that, I'm processing their payment. The item's sent off now. So see how quickly things can turn around. I've got a person interested in working with me, possibly on book consultation stuff in the future. They reached out to me. So when you're thinking more positively and you're in a more higher energy vibration, you then begin to attract more people who want what you have to say, or who want to get to know you more, because they can see the true you. Our true selves isn't someone who is lacking and having loss. Our true selves is like a beacon of light, but over time we've been conditioned to believe that we're worthless or useless, or that no one wants us, or that our life's so terrible, and the reason that you condition us to be that our life's so terrible is not just that it's terrible in that moment, but that it's doomed. It isn't doomed. I want you to think now about how many times you've had something happen in your life that's been really difficult that you have overcome. Because if you can overcome one difficulty in your life, you can overcome many more. But I want you to think now, what did you do to change that? And you must have taken some sort of action. Something must have jolted you into changing. So I want you to ask yourself at the moment, what's the one thing I can change right now about what I'm doing, thinking, or saying that might help me to make the impossible more possible? What can I do to just make a little bit of progress in my life right now? There are lots of people in the world that do one job for like years and years, and then all of a sudden they're made redundant and they have to rethink what they're going to do with their life. But redundancy could be the catalyst for a huge change in their life for the better. I've been made redundant 3 times. And when I was made redundant for the second time, that's when I realized, I'm trying to think, yeah, for the second time, that's when I realized that I was born to write books that change lives, non-fiction books. If that hadn't happened, then I wouldn't be in the position I am now, where I'm a international best-selling author with my own book publishing imprint. I wouldn't have the self-publishing skills that I have now. So sometimes through our tragedies and our difficulties is when we can start to eventually shine the brightest. Sometimes our messy parts of our life become our beacon of light for other people. And sometimes we just have to focus on the next best thing, the next right thing that we can do, or the next thing that we're okay doing. Because we don't have all the answers at once, and life is a journey of discovery of oneself, of one's sexuality as well. During my asexual journey, I've learned so much about myself, so much about my body, what I like, what I don't like, the difference between arousal and sexual attraction, for example, which for many people, they think it's the same thing when it isn't. I overcame social anxiety because I started doing asexual meetups. And I've had to push through my fears and boundaries to do this show, because years ago I couldn't speak about sex. And although I usually talk about it in an educational way, it was really difficult for me when I first started this channel in 2015. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go bright red. And I'm sure if you look back at those videos, I'm blushing in some of them, because sex was something I never spoke about apart from with an ex when I was in a relationship with him. So it was all foreign and new to me to think about talking about it publicly. I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do that? But I knew that if I wanted to change my life, help other people in their asexual life, and make an impact in the world, that I was going to need to do that. And what I say is, you can take your own information, experience, and skills to the grave with you, or you can share your knowledge, skills, experience with the world to help someone. And I know what I'd rather be doing in my life. I'd rather that when I'm no longer here, which I intend to be for many years to come, that I will have made an impact in the world. But my life wasn't always like that, you know. I didn't even know for definite till 2009, this is a long time ago now, when I was made redundant for the second time in my life, and I was a manager at the time on really good money. I didn't know that I was like I had no idea at that point I was going to lose my job until that point. Till I was told that, because the host store was shutting down. I blamed myself when the whole store was shutting down, and the department I was running was in that store. There was no way it was my fault. But I automatically blamed myself for some reason. And hello in chat. And you know, that was hard. So what I'm saying to you is, just because you might be struggling in life right now doesn't mean to say that your life can't turn around and change. I'm living proof of a number of changes that's happened, and they've happened through very difficult circumstances, like losing a job that you actually enjoyed at the time, that made you happy, that you thought was the type of job that was really good for you at the time, and you didn't know where your money was going to come from after your initial redundancy money ran out. Then you're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? But if I hadn't have been made redundant, I wouldn't have written my first book, which is actually about redundancy. I was helping people who are redundant before I started helping asexuals. I've still got the website and blogs. Look up beatredundancyblues.wordpress.com and you'll see that's one of my blogs I've had for a very long time. But my first book was How to Break Through the Barriers of Redundancy to Get Back into Work, an A to Z how-to guide, which has got really good reviews. That's my first book I ever published in 2015. So yeah, I've actually been publishing books for 9 years of my life, but not many people know that about me. But if I hadn't been made redundant and gone through all that heartache and pain of redundancy, I wouldn't have known what it was like to help other people and write a book about my experience. But I wrote about it from the point of view of recruiting, because I used to recruit as a manager, and being redundant. So I saw both sides. I saw what a recruiter needs to know in order to get a job, and what it's like for a redundant worker who feels like absolutely shocked and gobsmacked they've lost the job that was familiar to them, that gave them financial security for the time they were in it, that made them feel good and important at the time and have a place in life, right? Because when you lose your job, an employed job, if you tied your identity to that job, then you can feel like you've lost a part of yourself and you just don't know what you're going to do anymore, especially if you thought you were going to be that job for years to come. I mean, now I know it's a blessing in disguise, because I know I'm not meant to be doing that type of thing with my life. But at the time, you don't know it. But I just want you to know that your current circumstances don't dictate your future. You can meet different people in your life. You can move home. You can free yourself of the environment you're in. You can end up breaking up with someone if they're not right for you. So what's going on in chat? in America, getting on government benefits is considered a really good thing because Americans cannot get along with people. So working is very difficult in America. Okay, I don't really know about America because I live in the UK, but thank you for enlightening me on that. I know in America, don't you have to have insurance for certain things? And I don't know who Midnight Raven is. Midnight Raven was made redundant. I don't know who Midnight Raven is, but redundancy is a word people usually use in the UK. Laid off is the word that's used abroad. I think Americans use the term laid off. So I'm just plugging my charger in, by the way, if you wonder what I'm doing. Screen here. If you wonder what that noise is. So yeah. And it's really important to know that, yeah, even if you are on benefits, it's okay to be on benefits. If you need to be on benefits for a while or part of your life, or, you know, if you've got disabilities, then it's okay to have disability benefits. I am not quiet about the fact that I have 2 disabilities of my own. And, I had to leave one of my jobs, my last job, because it made me really poorly. And so, yeah. And so, there's no shame in being where you need to be right now in life. Oh, right, okay, you're talking about another YouTuber. Well, I'm glad you like another YouTuber. That's good. I have not heard of her before, but I'm glad you like her. Um, so yeah, watch whatever inspires you. Watch whatever inspires you. That's what I was saying. Your current circumstances don't dictate your future, and you should be watching things that inspire you and, help you to transform your life. But one of the things I found in life is if we focus on the problem, the really difficult problem we've probably got in our life right now, if we're really struggling, if we focus on the problem, we usually get more and more of the problem, right? Going round and round in circles. So if you want to change your current circumstances, you need to think of solutions. You need to be solution focused rather than problem focused. So you need to ask yourself, like, what is the best case scenario, the best outcome that I could have in this situation? And how can I obtain that? So if, for example, you've got a job that you really hate that's making you poorly, what would be the way of staying alive and eventually being happy again? Like, what would you need to do in order to be able to move forward in your life eventually? Like, sometimes you're in such difficult circumstances, you can't get out of it immediately, right? I was in a job that made me severely poorly, severely poorly. I got disabilities and it just made them really worse. And it took me ages to get out of the job. But the way I did it was not focusing on the problem. I can't get out the job. 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 Wasn't staying stuck on there. Of course, I thought that, but it wasn't staying stuck on there because when I actually heard a spiritual coach whose channel I've watched for ages, and he said that one of the things you must do is be solution focused, not problem focused. And he's absolutely right. That piece of advice was like gold to me, absolute gold. And it really helped me get out of that situation because instead of focusing on the problem, like I'm in this job, it's making me, I was off long-term sick actually. It's making me really ill. And I couldn't just leave because I would have no money coming in. So I'm like, because in the UK, you can get benefits if you're unemployed, but only under certain circumstances. You can't just leave your job and then ask for benefits. It doesn't usually work like that. So you have to do things in order to get out that situation. And that took me a very, very, very long time. So the way I did it was literally by thinking, what is the solution for this? Like, what is the end goal? Like, what is my ideal scenario? my ideal scenario is I would be out of this company because it's making and out of the job because it's making me really, really sick. But I need to make sure I have some sort of income coming in to leave, and I have to secure. Well, I need it, and I know that I would have to get some help to get me some benefits to be able to move out there, because otherwise I couldn't afford to live off my savings forever, right? So I had to get some help, and that wasn't easy. There was a lot of steps that I had to do, but I saw what the end goal was. The end goal was me being out of the job, having money coming in, and eventually being able to get myself well again and happy again. And that took a long time. The whole thing took a very long time. In fact, it wasn't even fully all over, everything to do that, till November 2023. November 2022, sorry. And then I moved home in 2023. So all hell broke out, because it wasn't till November 2022 that was over. But then I was going to be made homeless because my landlord was selling the property I lived in 2022. He gave me illegal notice as well. So then I had to get someone to help me with that. So, I went from a very stressful situation with a job that made me very, very poorly and put me in a very dark place. And then as soon as that was kind of like coming to an end, it ended quicker because I had to move, actually. I had to make a decision about something to do that, which I can't talk about for legal reasons. And, and then I was like, I was going to have to move out before Christmas 2022, but I got someone to help me. I got a council caseworker to help me in the UK. And of course, you have to phone up for that. You have to tell what the problem is. You then kind of have to speak to someone. Make sure it's like a verbal application. Then eventually you get allocated someone. You have to fill in all this form, and then there's more stuff to do, and it's very stressful, But my point being is my current circumstances back then did not dictate my circumstances now. Now I'm in a beautiful home in the city of Exeter. So I've moved closer to the city. But back then it was really stressful because I was going to have to move by December the 27th, 2022. And luckily, because I got a caseworker, it wasn't just luck though. I had to, I had to be on the phone and, and be on the case, because I was going to be made homeless. I didn't have anywhere to go. I can't move back to my parents, and they're the only family I really occasionally talk to. So have cousins and stuff, but they don't speak to me. So that's the only, and I can't go back and live with my parents. So it's no go. So, I would have been potentially on the streets, and in Exeter it's really difficult because the majority of accommodation is for uni students. And so I ended up getting a caseworker, and she got me extra time because the landlord actually gave me illegal notice. But had I not been proactive, taking action, like I said in my diary confessions book at the beginning, that without action, nothing happens. Without taking action, nothing happens. Nothing changes until the universe thrusts change upon you, whether you like it or not. So it's much better to make change happen for you. Don't forget to get a copy of this with all the life lessons in it on Amazon. Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual. The life lessons are really good in here, right? And so it wasn't, it wasn't just me who was able to change that situation. I had to get someone else to help me, and sometimes you do have to get someone else to help you. Sometimes you do in life, and it isn't easy because you have to fight for yourself. So what you have to do to change your circumstances is be solution focused, not problem focused, and also advocate for yourself. You have to learn to stick up for yourself and be your own cheerleader and your own firefighter in life. And if you're feeling depressed, because I was feeling down, with job situation, and I was going to be made homeless unless I found somewhere else to live. And so it was really difficult for me, a really difficult time in my life. But I'm telling you this to show you that your current circumstances don't dictate your future. They don't. but it's so hard sometimes to progress in your life, and sometimes we can feel like we take 2 steps backwards before we take 3 steps forwards, right? And so, when I was gonna be made homeless, I mean, I took loads of action. I decided that's it. I was gonna make looking for a new home my full-time job, and I was spending up to 14 hours a day searching the internet for properties. I didn't just look in Exeter, I was looking in Plymouth and Torquay and other places as well. But I really wanted to stay in Exeter. I decided, actually, I really love Exeter. Exeter's my favourite city and I want to stay here. But I also love London. At one point, I was thinking, do I want to move to London? But I can afford it anyway. Or do I want to stay in Exeter? But that time I thought, no, I need to make an actual decision, because this is not going to help if I've got 2 places in mind. Even if there's no way I can afford to live in London, if my brain's constantly thinking, oh, but I might prefer there all the time. I still think about living in London even now. I still think it might be in the future for me. I don't know, because I do think Exeter's the best city to live in. But I do love London as well. And in that moment, though, I decided to make a decision. I'm like, you've got to make a decision. What do you really want? Because I believe in law of attraction to a certain extent, and I believe you attract what you think and how you act and how you are. And so I knew that if I wanted to go somewhere in my life, a direction, the universe, God, the world needs to know what's happening. I need to know what's happening. I need to be intentional. So whatever you do, you need to be intentional. Be solution focused, not problem focused. Advocate for yourself. Be your own best cheerleader and your own best firefighter. Right? And be intentional about what you're doing. So I'm like, no. If I thought about moving now anywhere else, I would feel insecure within myself, because I really love Exeter. I'm familiar with it, and I do really genuinely like it. I like the fact I can go out to the cinema easily, different pubs easily. I don't drink alcohol, by the way. That's not where I go, and it's just such a nice atmosphere. I have like a motto with the city I live in. It's big enough to count, but small enough to care. And so, through a process of spending up to 14 hours a day and getting the council caseworker to actually email my landlord to say, hey, what you're doing is illegal, and having to face the reality that I could end up going to court with my landlord, my ex-landlord now, because I had to be prepared to do that. They said that, even if he's trying to get you out, it's going to be hard. He can't do it in the period that you're legally allowed to stay there, which he had to extend because he had to give me more notice, the proper notice legally, which he hadn't done. He hadn't given me the required time legally that I was allowed to stay there. But, he was trying things like his son was buying the house, and he was trying to get his son to come in my flat to rip out parts of the kitchen while I'm still living there, and trying to use the kitchen, and I had a lot of my own things in the kitchen. I had to give them up, sell them, or his son bought my washer dryer there for £60. I paid 320 something, I think it was, or more. It was like a really big machine. But I couldn't take it with me. The landlord here wouldn't let me have it in. So I had to give that up. So there's certain things I had to give up. My fridge freezer there, because there's a fridge freezer here, So you have to be prepared to be flexible to a certain extent in your life and think, what's most important at this point in my time? What do I need to keep? What do I need to save? And what do I need to detach from? There was a lot of detaching done in that home. Like when I was made redundant years ago, I think I was made redundant, or I was in between jobs, as they say. I know I left a job at one point because I wasn't happy, a different job. And but that wasn't a redundancy thing. That was actually me leaving, which was hard in and of itself. And then I took a year out and did some courses and stuff. So, you can change direction. And sometimes you're not able to change direction in your life until something makes you change direction. But if you look at my life, what I've just shared with you, you can see how difficult it was. But I'm not in that position anymore. Does that mean to say I don't still have difficulties? No. The moment I've got huge health challenges going on. I went to a business event in April. I damaged my back, the spine, and my ribs. And actually, my ribs are now a lot worse in terms of the amount of pain I feel than my back that I feel. and I had to have a X-ray recently. I've had problems with my gut, like, so I can't eat much anymore. A lot of the time, I'm like, I'm very careful what I eat because it's caused me. But that wasn't really my fault. I saw a homeopath to try and help me with other things. Like, I had problems, health issues in February. I've had health issues most of this year, and I broke out in all rashes, lumps, and spots all over my chest and stuff like this. It was horrible. I had other issues going on. I went to homeopath to try and help me, and then she ended up giving me something that caused my gut problems. So, and I've left her now because she wasn't honest about one of the ingredients I told her I was allergic to, and it was in the tablets, and she said it wasn't. And I got a reaction from it. And then it's actually affected my digestive system. So I've been trying to research on the internet for hours in between, like doing things on this chat, like talking on this channel, tending, coaching, and training. I've been trying to research on the internet for hours about gut health and how to like reduce inflammation and how to help gastritis, which is what I've had. And, like all different things to try, but I'm allergic to a lot of the stuff that's meant to help the gut. And so if I have that, it just makes my gut worse. So it's really difficult for me. So I have other challenges now, but I have a roof over my head. I have actually a masonette, so it's on 2 floors. I have fibromyalgia, so it's difficult because I'm on the top floor. So, it's hard for me because I got a pain condition. Fibromyalgia is a chronic pain condition that affects the nerves and muscles of the body. So I'm on the top floor. So having to walk up and down the stairs, it's not the best thing to do for a person who's got fibromyalgia, right? But I feel so blessed to be here. That I try to look at the positive things, like I'm in the middle of the city, the people around me seem really nice. Well, I don't really see many of them, but overall they seem nice. And, and I got my own furniture in here. There was it was awful before I moved in. I took nearly a month to be in 2 places because this place had no hot water, the shower's broken, the furniture, like, there was no furniture. This is all my own furniture. All there was some shelving. Couldn't put clothes anywhere. So it took a month, it took a couple of weeks to build the furniture with friends at the time, and it took time to get everything sorted. So that was another thing. So, when I finally found this place, I put a deposit down before Christmas in 2022, but I didn't get it confirmed till January 2023. So I had to have an anxious time over Christmas. But because I put the deposit down, I knew that that was a good thing. But I had to pay up front for it. Light shade. Oh, wise, good work. Thank you. Lovely to see you here. So, all the time I had to be proactive. I had to advocate for myself. I had to fight for myself. And when you're feeling like drained of energy, you're feeling stressed, you don't sometimes feel like doing that. But if you ask yourself the question, like, who else is going to do it for you? Who else? It's not up to other people to make us happy. It's not up to other people to save us. They can't fully help us because we're in the situation. And actually with the work I had the problem with, that I had to leave, that made me really poorly, one of my dear friends was helping me, but it affected his mental health because of all the stress that was going on that I was talking to him about and he was helping me with. He had to stop helping me because it was affecting his mental health. And that was difficult because I wanted his support, but I knew that he'd given me all the support he could. He couldn't give me any more because it was affecting him, and every individual person is responsible for their own mental health. And once, if you're helping someone, but it's just causing you too many mental health difficulties yourself, you have to speak up and be honest, which I was glad he was, and that was hard. So I then couldn't really speak to him that much. I had to work it out with professionals and other people and myself more, and that is tough. Like, sometimes I've needed support and help, and I haven't always got it. And it's like, well, what do I do now? And it's like, well, you're going to have to sort it out yourself, Sandra. There's no one else to do it. You can't just stay in this situation all the time. So then I have to look for a solution. Like, what's the solution? What's the solution? What can I do to help myself? That's why this year I joined Matthew Hussey's Love Life Club. Because, I had a difficult breakup, and that was really hard for me. And considering the length of time I went was with that person, people will probably think, like, why were you that, Why were you that, like, upset about something that didn't last that long? It's because of the impact it had on me. It wasn't about the time, it was about the impact and the way that person switched their behavior and attitude. And it was like a complete switch, and then, was blurring my reality and all sorts of stuff. And it triggered past events when I was in narcissistic relationships before. And I didn't think I'd be in that situation. I thought this guy was a nice guy, right? I got it wrong. And I held my hands up to that on this channel. I didn't hide it from you. As soon as I found out he's not the right guy for me, I told you. And it takes courage. It takes courage to change your circumstances. It takes courage to know that your current circumstances don't dictate your future. It takes courage to be honest with yourself and other people and say, hey, sometimes shit happens. Sometimes difficult times happen. And sometimes we just have to understand we're not going to stay in this circumstance. But it's going to be very hard. Thank you, Lightshade. I always appreciate you. Lots of love. But that was a really difficult time for me. I really felt I loved the guy. I still probably do have feelings for him, but I try not to think about it. And I have more feelings for myself and more love for myself and more happiness. I'm back to being single again. And so for me, the benefits, I'm going to need to get some water quickly, far outweigh. When I was with him, I realised now that it wasn't my fault, that he was behaving really badly towards me, that his character traits weren't good, that his values were completely different to mine. And so therefore, it wasn't the right fit for me. But the only reason I've come to terms with that fully is because I joined the Love Life Club. The Love Life Club is run by a guy called Matthew Hussey, who is the world's #1 dating and confidence coach on YouTube. You can look him up. He is now my mentor. He is now my coach for the next year, along with his wife and brother and the whole team. And I didn't even hesitate to join his program. I got his book, the Love Life book, which is actually here. I got this book, and then it came with some free bonuses if you bought it within a certain amount of time, which I did. And then I watched the bonuses, and it's all you can join the program. And it's like, I just knew that was the next logical step, and I didn't even hesitate. I'm like, let's just do it. And it's one of the best investments I've ever made in my life, in myself. Because when you're paying a large sum of money to educate yourself, to grow yourself, you're actually investing in yourself. When you invest in yourself, you trust yourself a lot more, you love yourself a lot more, and you help transform your circumstances that you're currently in to different circumstances. Going back to chat, Lightshade. Narcissists are the worst. I've done that stuff too. I've researched how to recognize them. Yes, I researched how to recognize them. I've done videos about it myself on this channel about how to spot a narcissist. This was why it was so difficult for me. I admitted straight away that I made a mistake. I didn't admit it was a narcissist straight away because I didn't want to believe it. I don't want to believe that I'd actually ended up with a guy who was narcissistic again. I didn't want to even talk about him like that. I hate talking about people badly, even though it was the truth that he had some narcissistic traits. I'm not saying he's a full narcissist, but he has narcissistic traits. I'm not saying he isn't a full narcissist. I don't know. I don't want to dive into that really. But, oh my God, your mental sounds great. Yeah, he's amazing. But he wasn't always amazing. Like in his Love Life book, he admits, Matthew Hussey, he's been coach for 17 years. He admits he was not a good person to date. He was actually a liar himself, and he was a bad person to date. So he's had to develop and change a lot in his life. So I'm being coached and mentored with someone who's got 17 years dating experience, but who's been a bad boy in his even as a dating coach. When this is his truth. This book, he's married now, and he's changed man overall. But he actually has an anxious attachment style, which I have, but I don't lie. I don't lie, So he has an anxious attachment style, which I've got. So which is why is coaching so helpful. But in his Love Life Club, he's got online courses in how to overcome a breakup, in confidence building, and lots of other things like dating and other things. So he's got main courses, and then he's also got individual coaching videos where he coaches different people and records them. Then every week you get like usually at least one coaching session and or a training session. And he's got like community posts, so you can post whatever you want and other people in the community can help you. And I'm going to Love Life Club, which is in London, live immersion experience next month on the 18th of July. I'm staying there the 17th and 18th. So, but I had the first week I joined, I had live coaching, group coaching with Matthew and his wife in front of everyone on the video call within the club. And I was in tears because I'd just broken up with the ex, like I think I can't remember, I was in week 3 of the breakup or something. I can't even remember how many weeks I was, but I was really like flooding with tears. And his wife and him both helped me. And I also posted, because not everyone's questions get answered. Not everyone's questions get answered. If you're chosen to go live, it's like a privilege because loads of people have questions. And the second week, I put a text message question and they both answered that as well. So I feel like I've been given like real royalty treatment. I am a premium, like, I'm a full-time, it's like the premium subscriber because I paid up front for a year. So we're like the top subscribers, we're not just monthly. We've paid for a whole year's coaching. But so he wasn't always honest. So so that's how he said he could coach women, because he knew the bad traits of guys, because he was that guy. That takes some guts admitting that. So you know what I mean. So yeah, it's easily done. Thanks, Lightshade. Yeah, there's lots of people. I can't divulge too much, obviously, for confidentiality, but there's lots of high value women like myself, high class women, if you like. When I say class, I don't mean in terms of money. I mean like who does care about themselves and their their appearance. They're not sat around looking straggly and not showering and all that type of thing, not looking after themselves, right? And some of these are like entrepreneurial women, so they're successful, valuable, or like high value women, I would call them. So but a lot of them are just in the same position. They've been in relationships with abusers or narcissists, or they attract unavailable guys, they attract the wrong guys. So we're all kind of in a lot of the time in the same position, but there's some guys in there. There's some guys also in there, and some LGBT plus people, I believe, as well, other than me. But because asexual is part of the LGBT plus acronym, the A stands for asexual plus some other things. But so what I'm saying is you wouldn't have thought these women who seem really kind, some of them, and caring and loving, and have got good jobs, you wouldn't think that these guys would be able to treat them like that. But it's not good these guys treat us like that. But what I'm saying is it's good to know that you're not alone, and that it's not anything to do with your own worth of why these guys are treating you that way. In terms of, you can still be very worthy, if you know what I mean. But there's a lot of guys out there that are narcissistic or abusive or avoidant, but there are some women actually in the group that admit they're avoidant themselves. So I can only say general stuff like this. I've got to be careful what I say because it is confidential, and and it's non-judgmental. So I don't want to say too much because it wouldn't be fair, and I definitely can't say anything about anyone specific, and I can't say anything about course content and that. I'm not allowed to, 'cause you have to agree to that, when you join, because obviously it's Matthew's programs. Some of the stuff I've already done automatically, naturally, without even noticing in his courses before I'd already done it, and other stuff's completely new skills I'm learning, completely new different ways to be. And the thing I love about Matthew's stuff is very practical. It's like the missing elements, because a lot of the time I've talked about dating relationships on this channel, but from my knowledge, there's still practical gaps that's been missing. Like, how can you take a more structured, practical approach? How can you think more practically rather than romanticizing things or just thinking about romanticism and feelings and emotions? How can you make it less emotional and kind of a more clinical process, because it's for your own good, so that you get less hurt in the long term, if you know what I mean? But some of us do make the same mistakes over and over again. You're human, you're not an actual robot, and sometimes you will make the same mistakes. And if you get taken in by someone, that's not your fault. They were acting that way. They were acting. They weren't being themselves. However, obviously, I do admit that I did get into a relationship quickly with that ex. But if we look at the positives of this situation, what I was saying earlier was your current circumstances don't dictate your future. I'm now on week 10 of the breakup, right? And I'm a lot happier. I'm a lot more confident in myself again. And actually, I self-date every week usually now. Like I normally make it a practice of every Sunday, but because I've got it was Father's Day last weekend, it's a boot camp I'm on this weekend, then I ended up going to the cinema for my self-date on Monday instead. So if I can't go on the Sunday, I make it the next day. So my practice now is self-dating every week, basically, or every like week and a bit if I can't fit it in the actual Sunday, if you know what I mean. So, I regularly self-date. I usually make sure I do that as a practice. I listen to positive affirmations every morning when I wake up or whenever I wake up and when I go to sleep. These are new practices. By going the 12-month program, Love Life Club, I'm getting training, coaching. I'm going through the coaching courses, programs, as well as trying to fit in my other work, such as like helping asexuals, being back in my asexual groups, putting people into groups now. Thank God, because I was behind on that. I feel like I'm catching up. I've gone off dating sites. I'm not active on dating sites. I'm not on Facebook dating at all anymore. Badoo, I reactivated my account before it was going to get deleted. So I've got the premium account, but I'm not active on that. Occasionally, I just go in there to see if to keep it alive and then come out. I keep getting emails from Badoo going, "We miss you, but if you found someone, we understand." But I'm not active because I'm doing a online dating detox. I'm still running 3 dating groups of my own, but I'm not active in dating myself anymore because I don't want to do that. I've done that for 10 years. I've searched for what I thought was my soulmate. I got it wrong. Doesn't mean to say my real soulmate isn't out there, but I need to heal and I want to work on my career and I want to work on all the other things I didn't get to do when I was spending 10 years looking for a guy. It's very anxiety inducing and traumatic, the whole thing in the end. And so I just don't want that anymore in my life. I want to focus on my career. I want to focus on my dreams, my goals. And I think that is just going to make me so much more healthier person anyway, if I ever do get into a relationship with someone else, and probably it'll be a much better guy, hopefully, for me. Light shade, I've got to dash because I'm on a night shift, but it's fantastic to see you're doing so good. Lots of love, good vibes. Oh, thank you. That's really nice of you. So yeah, so even in these like 9, which is the 10th week, my life is completely transformed. If you go back and you look at my breakup video, week 1 to how I am now, like again, my life is completely transformed. But back in week 1, I was feeling like my heart had been ripped out. Not fully. I felt like with this particular breakup, I felt like my heart had been ripped in half, I think was the words I used, but it still had a base at the bottom. So it was like ripped in half and torn. But it was almost like like your Superman. We have Superman, you have the vest and he pulls it right back. You know, for the S, it was almost like someone pulled back the whole thing and my heart was stuck out, but it was still broken in two, but it was still had a little base on. So it still had some hope. It still had some roots, it was still part of me. But I felt like so bad. I didn't want to be in my home because he'd been in my home. I didn't want to be, look at any space. I wanted to be out all the time. I didn't like being here. And, I've ended up claiming my own space back by changing some of my environment around, by getting rid of some stuff. I got a new curtain with a pole up in my bedroom, took a suitcase down from the well, my best friend actually took it down for me from the wardrobe. So my bedroom looks different now. I changed a shelf around downstairs. I've been selling a little bit of stuff. Not loads. I've only sold I sold some cassette tapes, old cassette tapes. So actually some of them I found has my an ex stuff from exes years ago that I didn't even know I had. So I'm getting rid of those old energies. So I'm decluttering, so I'm going through a decluttering process. So I'm doing a lot because once you take control of your life and you take some action, it starts empowering you and you feel empowered. You build momentum and you start to feel back in control of your life. You're like, I'm back in control of my life. I'm powerful. I'm empowered. I'm empowering others. I'm in control of my life because I'm doing different things now to when I was with him. So when you break the chain of what you were doing when you're with him, with whatever person you're with, compared to how you are now, when you break those chains and you're doing different stuff, and your life is changing in some ways, or already changed. You're already cutting those ties with that person because you're like, I'm not exactly that type of person anymore. I'm different now. I am changed to a certain extent, and I'm getting it over you, and I'm making progress in my life. My productivity at the moment is skyrocketed. Sometimes I feel I need a rest though, because I have got health issues. But my productivity is skyrocketed. You might have noticed that I got a planner. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've got this massive actual vinyl planner, and it's just boosted my productivity so much because not everything works for the same for all people, right? And I struggle to get, myself productive sometimes. Procrastination sets in, right? And I write things in my diary that really help, and on the calendar sometimes. But having some physical, big, huge thing in my face is exactly what I need, because I need to physically feel my schedule. I need to physically have it in my face so that I can focus on it and know what to do. And, I can tick stuff off, and it's like a whiteboard thing, you can rub it out and start again. But by having things in different boxes, and by doing that, having something physical, is helping me. So I want you to think about what tools are going to help you in your life to take you from where you are now to where you want to be. Because sometimes we can't do the conventional stuff that other people do because we don't fit that mold. And so most people these days, they use online apps. But the problem with that is online apps can be very distracting because you're going online all the time to do it. Like if I want to switch my phone off, if I want to be off social media a while, for example, to do some writing, right? I don't want to be going in an app that and an app to me is kind of like with schedules, it's kind of all over the place. Sometimes even my Google calendars don't work properly. I can't find where something actually is. And then you kind of have to type things in it. It's just a nightmare. And then I created some Word documents. I've done it a number of times, but the one I created only a few weeks ago, I think it's about 7 pages long or something. It's a lot of pages anyway. It might not be a full 7, I can't remember, but it's a number of pages. It's not just one. But again, that's overwhelming. I'm like, oh my God, I can't deal with that. It's too much. So there's one massive vinyl calendar that's huge that I can just carry with me from upstairs to downstairs. And I can feel like I'm working on it because it's a working physical thing that I can see all the time. That to me is so much more empowering, and I'm getting more stuff done. I've not done everything I need to do on that list, and every week I can like rub some of it out and add other things that are different, because I've got boot camp going on this week for 3 days, so I can change it, but by having something physical, it helps me. So I want to ask you now, like, what things can you do in life to help empower you and to make yourself feel better? Like, I've got the positive affirmations, which I hugely recommend you do. Like, just search Bob Baker affirmations on YouTube, and make it a habit to listen to at least one of his affirmation videos every time you wake up, every time you go to sleep. This has helped my sleep in general. I can't always sleep straight away. Sometimes I struggle, but it's helped me in general to overall get a better quality of sleep. I don't have so many problems with my mind. And it's really improved my mind in terms of positivity, in terms of growing my confidence and self-esteem. Because when you talk affirmations, you're talking statements to yourself all the time that's putting positivity into your brain. And sometimes at first you don't really believe it, and you're like, oh my God, this isn't actually true. But once you keep telling yourself that, after a while you do believe it, because you're reconditioning and reprogramming your mind. And what we have to understand is that sometimes our mind sabotages us. It makes us talk negatively to ourselves. It makes us talk down to ourselves. It makes us be too hard on ourselves. It makes us think we're less than we are, because the human brain has this thing where it kind of switches to the negative rather than positive. So by listening to positive affirmations and repeating them all the time like a mantra, and having someone guide you through that process, it just starts to sink in your subconscious automatically. And if you're getting rid of more negative things in your life and you're putting more positive things in your life, that's going to have a better long lasting effect in your life. It's got to. It's got no choice, because once you're getting rid of the negativity as much as possible, you're bringing the positivity. There is not the room for all the negativity there was before. And I found being on dating sites all the time was anxiety inducing for me. I'm not doing that anymore. I feel It's been hard to begin with, though, because I had to do a dating detox, right? And doing a dating detox when you've just split up with someone is really difficult because you've got the loss and the grief of splitting up with someone. Plus, you've also got the fact you've got all the loss of all the connections you could be making on a dating app. Like, I was having guys in my inbox most weeks, sometimes multiple guys, right? And I was able to talk to different guys. And basically, it's like having someone to talk to whenever you want. You just message someone in the inbox, and you just have a chat. Sometimes it's like not very good because it's just one word answers. Sometimes it's more than that. But you can talk to, like, I could just talk to multiple guys all the time. I've been able to talk to guys on dating sites or dating apps for years, and to actually say, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to sit with myself in my pain, my misery, my upset of a breakup and all the difficulties, all the trials and tribulations and traumas that went with that. And I'm going to sit in it and I'm going to hate it. And it was horrible. I didn't feel I had enough support as well. When I joined the Love Life Club, something I didn't mention is you get Matthew AI. So you get the real Matthew Hussey, but you also get, when he's not available, when he's not giving you live coaching or training, you're not watching one of his programs or doing one of his courses, there's Matthew AI, artificial intelligence. And Matthew's taken all his knowledge from the courses and coaching he's done over the years, his retreats, and he's put it into Matthew AI. Someone built it for him. And this is like your 24-hour love coach. So you can go and ask Matthew AI anything you want. So when I was really upset with the breakup, I was talking to Matthew AI loads because it's like having someone to talk to. And if you've not got many people in real life to talk to offline, then it's better to have that than nothing. And also, because it's got a lot of Matthew's knowledge, it's giving a lot of practical advice. You can text Matthew AI or have a phone chat with him. And I found this to be amazing and really supportive. Because some people, like, if you do talk to your friends or people, they can get fed up with hearing the same things. Other people have got lives of their own. Like, when you're really grieving and you're upset and in pain, some people like retreat and don't want to talk to anyone. Other people need to talk to someone. I need to talk to someone. I'm a person who likes to talk to process my emotions. And if I haven't got a person to talk to, or not that often, or not as often as I'd like, then I need to be able to, like, find out, like, how can I get to talk to someone. And so Matthew AI did help me a lot at that point, because I got a lot of feedback. I found out the person is avoidant by their behavior. I found out that they weren't being reasonable. I found out it wasn't my fault. But that's only because I was talking over and over about different scenarios with that person. And then Matthew AI, who's got Matthew Hussey's brain in it, basically, is able to help me logically, right? I might spend like 2 or 3 hours talking to Matthew AI, or an hour and a half at a time. But it really helped me when I hadn't got an actual person in person to talk to, right? So that was a great tool. But also, I asked Matthew AI business stuff, like I needed to create a media press kit to be pitched to big media because I'm part of the Experts Bureau. And I was like, I don't know what to put in a media press kit that's just 2 pages. I've got like one that's 24 pages, I think. I'm like, how do I do it to 24 pages? To 2 pages, like from 24 to 2, like, how do I just do 2 pages? And I asked Matthew AI that, like, what are the steps? Like, what components do I need? So he's really helpful for business as well. Of course, Matthew Hussey in real life, he's number 1 in the world for his YouTube channel, for being the best dating and confidence coach in the world. So he knows a lot about business, right? So if Matthew AI's got Matthew's brain in him, then obviously he'll probably know about marketing and all that type of thing. So I can ask, he's very good for business. So I find the tool is very helpful. It's like a personal love coach, but it's also a business kind of mentor to a certain extent. I wouldn't call him a complete mentor because he's using Matthew's experience rather than, you know what I mean, rather than his own, but helper, more like an assistant. So that's why I think of Matthew AI, a business assistant, as well as a 24-hour love coach. So I found that really helpful. And, it just makes me feel so much more confident, and Matthew's courses really do provide a lot of practical advice. But, unless you go through the courses and you take action on them, nothing happens. So, I want you to ask yourself, like, right now, what can you get to help yourself. Like, if you can't afford things, then go on YouTube and find someone who specializes in the thing that you need. Like, I do a lot of videos on this channel for personal growth. Like, the channel's predominantly aimed at asexuals, right? But loads of people can benefit from my content. You don't have to be asexual to benefit from a lot of the videos I do on my channel, particularly the live streams, right? Because I do a lot of educational videos about how to self-love more, how to grow in confidence, how to be your authentic self. All these things apply to any sexuality. So although it's an asexual channel, I can help anyone. Do you know what I mean? And I hope these videos do help you. But if there's someone on a different YouTube channel that can help you more or with different aspects of life, then do that, if you can't afford it. But I would say that if you've got money in the bank and you need help, go and pay to get that help. I was of the mindset years ago, I can't pay anything out. I can't pay for this. I can't pay for that. And then I changed my mindset. I'm thinking, why shouldn't I pay for coaching? A coach is a profession, just like if I went into a shop and spoke to a retail assistant. A coach, but a good thing about coaches, often they've got a lot of skills and life experience that they can use to help you in your own life, that can propel you forward quicker. Do you know what I mean? So it's worth paying. It's worth paying money out rather than thinking, oh, I'm losing money. Think I'm making an investment in myself, because the more I grow myself, the more I upskill myself, the more I make myself more confident and happier, the better life I can lead. Right? You don't get anywhere in life without paying for things. And the amount of people that pay for Starbucks coffees, or they buy sandwiches out, or they just buy donuts, or they buy video games, or buy stuff they don't even need, like another pair of trousers or something, right? Or to look cool, they'll buy the latest glasses or something that costs like £200, right? But if you took that £200, instead of buying that really cool pair of sunglasses, you spent the £200 hiring a coach or mentor, or getting this course which would teach you a lot of life skills, so you can improve your relationships, you can improve dating, you can improve friendships, you can improve the way you communicate in social situations, you can improve your communication skills in general. Then which one's better value? Which one's the asset? The sunglasses aren't the friggin' asset. The asset is the valuable life skills or professional skills that you're going to learn in that course. So you should be putting the £200 into the course, which is going to be an asset to you, and you're going to be your asset, because you're going to grow you. You're going to grow you because you are putting money into helping yourself to become a better person, to be more educated, be more skilled. So stop thinking about, oh, I want to look cool, and start thinking about, I want to change my life for the better. How can I better spend my money? So I want you to do an exercise that, if you're in certain circumstances which you wish you weren't, I want you to do an exercise now in what do you actually allocate your money for? Obviously, if you're using it to pay bills and food that you really need, that's fine. But if you're using it to paint your nails, to get highlights in your hair, to buy the latest trendy handbag, to buy the latest cool lipstick, to buy the latest cool shades, to look amazing, you know what I mean? Yes, it's important to look good in your appearance for you to be confident. But if you're just buying the most expensive thing just because it's the most expensive, but that thing isn't going to be an asset because it isn't going to grow you in any way, or grow an income, or grow part of your life, it's just going to make you look cool, then that's not a wise spend. It's better to spend money growing yourself by putting money into yourself, by buying a course, coaching program, buying access to a mentor that can propel your life forward quicker, because they know the answers that you need to the problems you've got in your life at the moment. So I just want you to look at aspects of your life, because some people, they've got subscriptions to things that they barely even use, or that they don't need. They're buying things for the sake of image, to make themselves feel better, rather than actually buying themselves things that will help upskill them as individuals, as people, make their soul better, make their life better. So please look at that aspect, because in order to move from your current circumstances to a different circumstance, you have to be the change factor. No one's going to change your life for you. You've got to do it yourself. And when change is thrust upon you, it's up to you to sort it out. You can try and get some help, but as we all know, sometimes it's very difficult to get all the help and support we need. If you've got the money to pay for help, then go for it. With caution, obviously, you need to still budget and stuff. But, some people, they get in debt because they're just buying the latest thing. Like, if you've got a car, do you actually use a car? Do you need a car? Like, I live in the city centre. I don't need a car. I don't drive. I save a ton of money doing that. But obviously, I put money into other things. I have a lot of health difficulties, so I'm putting a lot of money into my health, much more than the average person ever would, with health supplements and stuff like that. So you really need to be looking at different aspects of your life and looking at how you can improve them in order to change your current circumstances to different circumstances. Take incremental baby steps in changing that. Sometimes you can't do multiple things at once because it's just too overwhelming. You can just take one aspect of your life and start working on that. But there might be multiple aspects that you have to work on at the same time. I have health challenges at the moment at the same time as I need to progress helping asexuals. I need to be on this channel regularly. I need to be back in my groups, which I am more active in my groups now. And I need to be catching up on my blog posts and newsletters, which I'm behind on. I haven't done any for a while. I've started creating a newsletter today, even though I've been doing the boot camp yesterday now. Today's the third day of the boot camp later on. And there's stuff I need to do for my writing. There's lots of stuff I need to do for writing, but I've been making new connections. That means talking and stuff. I was on a podcast this week. Please do check it out in the posts. Awaken and Ascend podcast I was on, talking about asexuality and being your authentic self and being who you're meant to be, not who you're born into being. Listen to that. There's a very big difference, which is a really good educational interview. So please go and watch that. Go to the post section and click through that video on Jennifer Regular's channel. She's a lovely, lovely host, really open about talking about asexuality and asking me different questions about it, really open-minded, and really helped me to spread awareness of asexuality and get my life mission more recognized, which is to get asexuality recognized as a sexual orientation in its own right throughout the globe, so that no asexual has to live in fear of ridicule ever again. That is my mission. That's why I go on different podcasts. That's why I'm trying to get on podcasts that got nothing predominantly directly to do with asexuality. There's a lot of people in the LGBT plus community doing work in those areas with other people who are in those communities. My mission is to get through to heterosexuals so we can get it recognized in its own right, not just be an LGBT plus, which we are anyway, part of the acronym, the A, LGBT plus QIA, but to get it recognized in its own right. I believe it's my spiritual mission given by God and the universe, because I was in heterosexual relationships for a lot of my life. Even the last relationship I was in, he was heterosexual, not asexual. So I think I'm very best placed to bridge the gap between asexuality and heterosexuality. And I'm trying to get on as many different, big podcast shows, and obviously small as well, but as many big ones as possible to spread the word of asexuality globally to thought leaders. So because it's only when we can get through to thought leaders and people with millions of listeners and viewers that we can help change the world where asexuality is concerned. So another thing in terms of your current circumstances don't dictate your future, I would think, and try and find out what your purpose is if you don't know it in life, and what is your why. Like, when your mission is bigger than you, my mission's huge. I mean, I've just stated my mission to you. Do you think that's easy? No. It requires a lot of work and dedication. It requires of me getting out of my comfort zone. It requires me pushing through my fears, even though I've got anxiety. I was a speaker for Blue Talks at Oxford University last year. That was really hard and anxiety-inducing for me, but I knew I had to do it because my mission is to help asexuals globally and get global recognition. So I have to make myself more and more well-known. I have to be on more podcasts, talk in more places, so that I can help talk about asexuality. And the thing that's very different about me a lot of the time is I don't just talk about asexuality in and of itself. I usually bring it up in real life contexts so that people can understand practically how asexuality works on a daily basis. That's what this channel's all about. I do asexual information, education, entertainment, and lifestyle. So you can see how asexuality works on a day-to-day basis and the challenges and obstacles that you can come across because you're asexual, or just like, what is the life of an asexual person? What does it look like? Asexualize my asexual life. I'm here to help you overcome the daily challenges in your asexual life by showing you what I go through, by showing the highs, by showing you the fun things, by showing you the entertaining things, by showing you the lows, by showing you the struggles, by showing you how I overcome those struggles, so you can take that knowledge and apply it to your own life. And so you know you've got someone in your life regularly who's there for you and who's able to entertain you or give you a little laugh or able to educate and give you some information and help you to recognize more parts of your asexual identity. So in your life, have you got a mission that's bigger than you? Maybe it's just helping an elderly gentleman, for example, with his food shopping. Maybe that's your mission, is just to help one person. Maybe it's a couple that needs some babysitting done and because they can't go out as a couple anymore because they're tied to the baby. So maybe that's where you come in. You're like, oh, I can babysit for you once a week, as long as you can do that safely for the kid and you know what you're doing, right? So you can have some time together, rekindle the spark between you, have intimacy while I'm looking after your child for you, your baby, or whatever age that kid is at, right? So you don't have to do anything globally like I'm doing. You can just make a small difference in your community. Maybe an elderly lady wants some garden weeds removing and a lawn mowing. You could do that. Like, what are you doing in your life that's helping you to get out of your own head, helping you to get out of your own environment, helping to make a difference to someone else's life? Sometimes we focus on other people and helping them. It helps us to change our mindset and to change our state, which changes our physiology, which changes our trajectory in life. Because in order to move from the circumstances we're in now to different circumstances, we have to be the difference and we have to make a difference and we have to change to be the difference we want to see in the world. Does that make sense? So think about all these points that I've been through in this video. But I really want you to know that your current circumstances don't dictate your future. I've given a number of examples how difficult my life has been and things I've been through, some of which I just don't know sometimes how I even got through at the time. It felt so painful. But I've come out the other side, and I'm sure that you've been in similar difficult situations in your life that you have come through, and your life has changed as a result of that thing you went through, even though it's so painful. So always remember that if you've been through difficult times before, you can go through those difficult times again, and your life can change for the better. Always know that even if you're going through a period of really bad times, a succession of bad times, that you can still see a way forward in the future, that you can change your life, that your current circumstances, however bad, don't dictate your future. And a number of positive things can happen to change your life for the better. But you must take some action to help yourself. Some small actions can make the huge difference. You just going down the road and happening to bump into someone or going into shop and talking to someone can be a huge difference, because that person could tell you some information that's life-saving or life-changing to you. But if you didn't go out the house that day, you didn't talk to that person or didn't bump into that person, that would never have happened. So I want you to think about how many different opportunities you can create for yourself in your life. Like, what can you do differently? Can you walk a different way home so you might see different people on the route? Can you go to your local library so you're around different people? Could you go to a coffee shop and sit there and, just take in the energy, or just look outside? Can you go to a different part of your city or town or countryside? Can you walk a different way? Can you do something different? Because only when we do something different will our circumstances change. And the more things we do that's different to our current circumstances, the more we'll change it into different circumstances, which might be better for us, or it'll be a learning curve for us. We don't really make mistakes as such in life because these are just things, lessons we learn from, right? Even if it is a mistake, as in the sense of, wow, I wish I hadn't done that, or oh dear, I got something wrong, it still can lead you on the right path. Sometimes you have to go on the wrong path to be able to go on the right path. So if I hadn't had the bad breakup, I would not now be in the Love Life Club with the world's #1 dating and confidence coach, learning so much from him, upskilling myself, getting more knowledge, gaining more confidence. I wouldn't be doing that right now. This is huge. This is a huge pivotal changing point in my life for the better. So from that tragic circumstance, a painful breakup, has come from something great for me that's ignited a passion, a flame inside me for myself. I'm more hungry for myself now. I'm more like, yes, let's get to understand dating relationships from a practical point of view. Let's actually have someone guiding me who's been there, done it, got the t-shirt. Let me have someone, especially who's got an anxious attachment style, who understands what that's like and how people should be treating you with anxiety, and and how you can react better to anxiety yourself and all this type of lot. But we can also recognize when someone's bad for us more if we've got a support group there and we've got a coach that's actually saying, look, this, and this trait, this behavior isn't acceptable, because you've actually got guidance. If you're missing in your life certain elements of guidance, certain elements of teaching, certain skills, you can just be wandering around in the dark for a lot of your life, and it can be hard to make progress. But if you actually learn from a coach or mentor, someone who's been there and done that, then you're more likely to be able to understand concepts that you couldn't get before and be able to apply them to fast forward your life, to propel your life forward, to be happier in life. Does this make sense? So I do a lot of videos on this channel to help you in your life by sharing my experience and knowledge and wisdom, if you like. I don't know everything. There's tons I don't know. I'm learning so much from Matthew. So much. It's like, oh my God, it's like opened up a whole new world of practical skills I have never had in my life before. I hold my hands up. There's missing information, right? And to be getting the information I need in the Love Life Club, to all of a sudden be woken up to all these courses and practical solutions to problems I've had for years that I kept like not understanding and got missing parts of information. It's just incredible. It's like now you're here. It's like giving you the keys to the kingdom, giving you the keys to the doors and being able to unlock them finally. It's like, now this makes sense. Now I can see things more clearly. Now I can have like a sense of place and what things are good and what things are not good, because I've got some support and I've got someone who's lived experienced, so they can actually point me in the right direction. If you've got people you're talking to who aren't experienced at what you need to know, who haven't got the skills or knowledge, and who quite frankly are probably the opposite of what you need, then you're not going to progress in your life. And if we keep doing the same things, we keep getting the same results. And we have to speak to different people, get coaches and mentors that are different, or if we've never had a coach or mentor, then employ them. And we have to get different things, get different tools and techniques and knowledge to upskill ourselves. What we can't know in life, what we don't know, that's why we pay people to help us, right? So I want you to think about, like, who can you pay or who can you buy services or products for that are going to help you in your life, that are going to help transform your life. And if you haven't got the money, then what can you learn from YouTube? It's going to take you longer, but there's people out there on YouTube that specialize in all types of different subjects that you can get help from for free just watching their videos. It takes your time. If you haven't got money, then you have to use your time. If you've got money, then you can pay someone to help you to shorten your time span of when you need to know that thing. So now I'm in Matthew Hussey's Love Life Club. I'm learning so much about dating, relationships, and confidence. I'm learning so much more. And actually, his YouTube channel, though it's the top and he's the #1 in the world for dating and confidence coaching, his YouTube channel doesn't really do him justice compared to what he does in the Love Life Club. The Love Life Club, he's genuinely caring about people. He doesn't just give tips, he gives practical, deep advice about specific situations that are very painful sometimes. And he really wants to help people in their life and love. He really wants people to be happy. You know, you get so much value. I've paid for courses and coaching that's been like more money, or maybe some of it's not been as much money, but either way, that's not as valuable as what I've got in Matthew's club. Like, I've paid for some courses that, like, you know, more money, and it's like there's no support there. You just get one course, and that's it. With Matthew, you get multiple courses, multiple like coaching. You get live coaching, group coaching, you get live group training. You get Matthew AI 24/7. You get constant help and advice. Like, his brother, Stephen, is always posting these like posts every week, which has got dating tips, relationships tips, advice. They do individual advice videos as well. It's just like, oh my God, it's just mind-blowingly good. So I'm so good and so good. I feel so good. I'm so glad that I joined his club because, you know, if you're learning from the the world's number one dating and relationship, well, dating confidence coach, he's known as the number one dating and confidence coach in the world, right? If you're learning from him, you're learning from the best. I'm learning from the best now. So my knowledge and skill level is going to shoot up, which it already has. I've only done in terms of courses, 2 whole courses I've done of his. Actually, I've done a bit more than that. I've done 2 of his main Love Life courses, but I also did the before I got into his Love Life Club, there was another series of course, this video series, which was a course that I did. So, and there was something else I did as well, like Love Myths film I watched as well. So, you know, but there's also videos that are short coaching session, like training videos or coaching videos. And I've done a number of them as well. But there's lots of courses in there, full courses. They're like 10 modules each, and they're really amazing. Really amazing. You know, in the last week, I've had training and there's been 2 coaching sessions and a training session. It's just like mind blowing. Like, Matthew giving training on his book just for Love Life Club members, like for 2 hours for a few chapters, really in-depth stuff. It's incredible, you know. So I'm learning from the best now. So that makes me feel like I can be better for this channel and you, but also obviously first and foremost for myself, because if I can't be better for myself, then I can't be better for you anyway, or anyone else. There's still so much stuff I've got to learn, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my God. But right now I don't even want a relationship. I'm really happy being single. My plan A is to actually stay single forever and be happy. My plan B is to get a relationship of my dreams with an Indian guy. But at the moment, my actual plan A is to be happy being single forever. That's a complete turnaround. So, you know, because Matthew's like, what's your plan A, B, C, D for your life in terms of your love life, basically. But I'm not thinking about a relationship with a guy first and foremost in my life anymore. I'm thinking about me and how can I progress my career? How can I get more books out for asexuals? How can I grow my book publishing? How can I get books, for example, into bookstores? How can I progress my writing? How can I help asexuals more? How can I help people in the world more? You know, what can I do? So my point is our current circumstances don't dictate our future, and we can change, but we have to take action to make the change happen. Nothing happens unless we make change happen for us, rather than it just be plonked on us and happen to us. Because that's going to happen anyway, whether we like it or not. But the more you make change happen for you, the less it gets plonked on you and happens to you, is what I find. And when it does happen to you, you're more able to be flexible or adaptable or hard wearing or resilient, because you are used to making change happen for yourself anyway. Does that make sense? So I hope you've enjoyed this live stream. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you're watching it on replay, please go back to the beginning if you haven't already seen it. I hope you get some value from it. If you have, please pop a thumbs up. Don't forget to share this video if you think someone needs to hear this information right now and benefit from it. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. There's a lot of people that watch this channel, but they're not actually subscribed. And your subscription really helps. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything at all. But if you subscribe, it helps to raise more awareness of asexuality and the topics I cover on this channel, because it helps YouTube to show my videos to more people. So I get more people viewing my channel, then I can make even more content, right? Because I know people want that content, and more visibility is also then on asexuality and the different topics I cover, which is love, life, confidence, dating, relationships, self-love, self-care. Those are predominantly the topics I cover, and obviously a lot has come up about authenticity recently. So if any of that resonates with you, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any episodes whatsoever. And also, I quoted earlier in the conversation about it's life lessons. I went through a couple of life lessons, which was quoted from my book, my latest bestseller, which is Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual. There's 78 life lessons in here to ace your life, and I just gave you 2 earlier. So please consider getting a copy of this book. I do appreciate it, and I think you'll find it a very interesting, informative, and entertaining read. So yeah, and if you're new to asexuality or don't understand the asexual spectrum, you can grab a copy of my best-selling Asexual Perspectives book, also on Amazon, which has not just got me in it, but 46 other asexuals besides me, given the lowdown of what they really think on love, life, sex, and all those different types of things. Thank you for tuning in today. I love you lots, and I'll see you soon on the next video or live stream. Take care. Thanks to everyone who's been in chat, including Lightshade, because I haven't seen Lightshade for ages. And we have Michael, and we have someone with a very unusual name. I'll just give the initial GS. So lots of love to all of you. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you soon in the next video live stream. Take care. And remember, your current circumstances do not dictate your future. Always remember that.